Let me introduce our presentation, State and Legal Policy for the Protection of Children in the Digital Environment. We live in the time of digital technology that is deeply ingrained in our daily lives. Today, it is difficult to imagine at least one day without a smartphone and the Internet. In Global Overview Report Digital Technologies 2021, it was told that the number of people around the world using the Internet had grown to 4.66 billion and the number of social networks users to 4.20 billion. It should be mentioned that the average Internet users now spend 6 hours and 54 minutes online each day. Supposing that the average person sleeps for 7 or 8 hours a day, it means that we now spend approximately 42% of our awake state online and that we spend almost as much time using the Internet as we sleep. Humanity has received a large number of benefits through digital technology, which has greatly facilitated life. By using the Internet, we can find any information, we can study and work, shop without leaving home. Despite these benefits, the Internet carries risks and dangers that often affect children and young people. The digital environment may open new ways to perpetrate violence against children. Open access to the Internet, difficulties in tracking the abuser, fear of parents' reaction to cyber threats, and as a result, the concealment of cyberbullying make the child easy prey. Crises such as pandemics may lead to an increased risk of online harm, considering that children spend more time on virtual platforms. Recommendation of the Committee of Ministers to Member States on guidelines to respect, protect and fulfill the rights of the child in the digital environment emphasizes a number of areas concerned for children's healthy development and well-being which may arise in connection with the digital environment. In particular, sexual exploitation and abuse, grooming, the deception and praise of violence and self-harm, in particular suicides, bullying, stalking, and other forms of harassment, non-consensual dissemination of sexual images, extortion, hate speech, hacking, gambling, excessive use, sleep deprivation, and physical harm. The Internet threatens to fall victim of cyber violence, for example cyberbullying, which is one of the forms of it. Cyberbullying can be defined as an aggressive, intentional act carried out by a group or individual using electronic forms of contact repeatedly and over time against a victim who cannot easily defend him or herself. The most famous classification of cyberbullying was given by Nancy Willard, who singled out the following varieties: flaming, harassment, denigration, impersonation, outing and trickery, exclusion, cyberstalking. Kowalski added more forms of cyberbullying like happy slapping and hopping, and also sexting. Sexting is the exchange of provocative or outright sexual content, such as text messages, photos or videos via smartphones, internet or social networks. Although some researchers consider sexting to be a form of cyberbullying, others disagree, notion that sexting and cyberbullying are not related. Sexting can be used by the aggressor to provoke further acts of cyberbullying. Cyberbullying can happen anywhere and anytime. The Internet, phones, operate 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Technologies such as computers, smartphones, and tracking devices allow abusers to overcome geographic and spatial boundaries what would have otherwise prevented them from contacting their victims. What is more, in 2020, the impact of COVID-19 has increased individuals' digital presence, and it is speculated that the pandemic has triggered a significant rise in cyberbullying. Overall, cyberbullying is a reflection on the culture we live in. It is now acceptable to criticize each other in any form, and the easiest way to do it is online. No one thinks that an insulting comment left under a post on Facebook, under a photo on Instagram, or a video on TikTok can be perceived as very painful and have negative consequences. As the problem of cyberbullying has become global, the fight against cyber violence must reach national and international levels. In the course of our research, we conducted an anonymous survey of students aged 17 to 22 regarding their participation in cyberbullying and sexting. 145 students of the Faculty of Law and Karazin Kharkiv National University took part in online survey. 58 were girls, 42% were boys. We asked two blocks of questions. The first block was about cyberbullying. The second block of questions considered sexting. The analysis of the survey showed a very high level of awareness among students that is cyberbullying. 95.7% answered positively to this question. At the same time, 57 knew about cyberbullying from their own experience, as they had encountered its manifestation in the digital environment. At the same time, they also acted in the role of cyberbully, aggressor, humiliating others on the internet, social networks, groups, Telegram, Viber. 14.5% did it more than once, 26.9% once or twice. It should be noted that in the survey, even anonymous people are more willing to take on the role of victim and less likely to admit that they committed cyberbullying by themselves. Answering the question, how did you feel when faced cyberbullying? 43.5% noted indifference. This is the correct reaction to provocations, ridicule, and negative comments. If aggressor doesn't feel any reaction to his actions, he ceases to be interested in the victim and switches to another one. Any reaction to cyberbullying encourages the aggressor to take new action, so in such situations it is necessary to ignore cyber attacks or ban the aggressor, but in no case enter a discussion with him. 22.1% of respondents said that they felt irritated, 9.9% helpless, 9.9% anger, 4.6% the desire for revenge. Cyberbullying negatively affects the psychological health of adults, causing depression, decreased self-esteem, and suicidal thoughts. In the survey, we tried to find out the reason for the growth of cyberbullying in society. Respondents singled out the following. It is difficult to prosecute for online violence, 46.4%. Anonymity, you can write negative comments, insults, and the victim will not know who they came from, 18.1%. The growing use of digital technologies has negative consequences in the form of cybercrime, 11.6%. It has become fashionable to be a hater, 10.9%. This is one of the ways of communication, 8%. In addition, their own options were mentioned as mental disorders in people, dissatisfaction with life, a way of self-exaltation, proper attention to adults. The last issue of the first block was devoted to combating cyberbullying, namely what can help to solve this problem. The largest percentage of respondents, 35.2, believe that establishing criminal administrative liability for cyberbullying is the most effective method in combating violence in the digital environment. 21.8% believe that government programs to protect children on the Internet, whereas chatbots, videos, posters, hotlines where you can call if you become a victim of online violence, can help to solve this issue. The next method in combating bullying is blocking the cyber aggressor site platform by administrator. 19%. Teaching children how to behave in case of online threats, 18.3%. But parental control, contact tracking, correspondence, according to students, is not an effective method of combating cyberbullying. Only 1.4% chose this option. The second block of questions concerns such phenomena as sexting. The awareness of what is sexting, only 52.5 answered that they knew about it. 25.5 didn't know what sexting is, and another 22% heard about it but didn't remember. This situation suggests the need for outreach among young people to understand and prevent sexting and its negative consequences in the digital environment. 48.9% of respondents received requests to send sexual content, while 20.6% of them exchanged photos, videos of an intimate nature. This indicates that in most cases they rejected such a request. At the same time, 15.6% of respondents asked someone to send a photo video of an intimate nature. While exchanging sexual content, only 22.6% were afraid that it would be spread among their circle of acquaintances or on the Internet. 13.9% didn't think about the consequences, and 63.5% were not afraid at all. This figure makes you wonder that young people don't see the negative consequences of sexting and don't worry that intimate content can be used against them through blackmail, threats, distribution of photos, videos among acquaintances or on the Internet. Among the outcomes, we would like to focus on some provisions. Firstly, the reason for the growth of cyberbullying in society. The majority of respondents, 46.8%, named this reason as the severity of prosecution for online violence. It should be noted that all respondents are students of the Faculty of Law, and therefore they looked at the problem from a legal point of view. Nevertheless, this reason is really one of those that allows bullies to commit harassments with impunity in the digital environment. It is difficult to track the aggressor, find out his identity, establish the effect of bullying, and ultimately bring him to justice. The second point of the study which we would like to notice is the counteracting to cyberbullying, namely what can help in solving this problem. The establishment of criminal administrative responsibility for cyberbullying is the most effective method in counteracting, 35.2%. It should be noted that the current legislation provides for administrative liability for bullying. For offenses related to cybergrooming and sexting, the national legislation doesn't directly contain provision to protect children from sexual exploitation and sexual abuse committed online. Such actions can be qualified under Article 301 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine regarding the production, storage, and distribution of pornography. To solve the problem of the insufficient level of development of digital rights of the child, the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine has established a concept for the development of digital rights of children. It provides for the implementation of many measures to protect the children's rights in the digital environment, particularly analysis of regulatory framework and educational programs for children, parents and teachers, determination of their level of education about modern risks in the digital environment, launching mechanisms for reporting and responding to content and services in the digital environment that contain sexual exploitation and abuse of children, improvement of regulatory legal acts, implementation and adaptation of leading technical solutions for the investigation and prevention of crime committed in the digital environment in which children are victims, introduction of educational programs for teachers, introduction to educational institutions of teaching digital security and media literacy. The concept provides for the introduction and improvement of legislation on liability for crimes committed in the digital environment. Particularly, it's proposed to amend the criminal legislation according to which the liability for cybergrooming is provided for knowingly gaining access to materials, disseminating and storing such materials without the purpose of distribution. According to the National Strategy on Human Rights, ensuring the rights of the child is one of the important strategic directions within the framework of which the mechanism for ensuring the children's safety in the digital environment should be improved. About document in the field of protection the children's rights of children affected by delinquency in the National Strategy for Reforming the Justice System for Children for the period up 2023, it is aimed at solving the main systematic problem of justice in relation to children, overcoming gaps in the system of interdepartmental cooperation, ensuring preventive, social and educational work, and work aimed at resocialization of minors prone to illegal behavior and committed offenses, as well as strengthening the protection of children's rights who have suffered from offenses, including those of violent nature and children who are witnesses of offenses. The State Social Program National Action Plan for the implementation of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child for the period up 2021 in the framework of ensuring the protection of children from violence provides for the formation of a policy of public intolerance all forms of violence against children in society, protection of children from exploitation, sexual abuse, intensifying awareness raising work to prevent all forms of violence against children. Ukraine has ratified a number of international legal documents related to the protection of children, including the digital environment, particularly the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the Council of Europe Convention on the Protection of Children against Sexual Exploitation and Sexual Abuse, the Convention on the Rights of the Child on the Sale of Children, Child Prostitution and Child Pornography, The Convention on Cybercrime. The provisions of those documents are implemented in national legislation which aims to protect children from cyber violence. The state body responsible for the development of children's digital rights and ensuring their safety in the digital environment in the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine. Within the framework of the ministerial project Child Safety on the Internet, which should protect children online from harmful materials, cyberbullying, suicidal internet unions, sexual violence, an information and educational campaign is being carried out. Chatbots are being created to counter cyberbullying and sexting. Recommendations for the protection of children in the digital environment are being developed. Public organizations are actively involved in this work, thanks to which the All-Ukrainian Campaign Against Cyberbullying, DocuDays.ua, was founded. Documentary animated videos about cyberbullying were shot. A week against bullying was held, which was attended by more than 300 schools. Information materials for children and parents about the phenomenon of cyberbullying were developed. Such activities contribute to the protection of children's rights in the digital environment and help to prevent cyber violence. Thank you for your attention.